Math Blaster Episode 1, released in 1994 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System as well as the Sega Genesis, courtesy of Davison and Associates and Western Technologies Incorporated. Spoiler alert, neither console saw an Episode 2. However, Math Blaster was a fairly lengthy series of edutainment games on the home computer front, with the first game being released all the way back in 1983, and I believe is still a thing today. If you want a more extensive video history of Math Blaster as a franchise, LGR is right there. Go watch him instead. He does good stuff. I'll just be over here and I'll do some other stuff and yeah. So okay, so what else I had that there? Okay, so oh, you're still here. Okay then. Here we go. Math Blaster Episode 1, or as it's known on the PC front, Math Blaster Episode 1 in Search of Spot, no reason why they didn't include the subtitle, opens with a surprisingly fully voiced introduction to set up the premise of the game.
Wake, you make me do all the work around here.
In short, Spot has gone missing. No, not the feline companion of a certain positronic android, but rather the alien companion of the Math Blasternaut that we're going to play as today. So you gotta get him back by blasting some math. Fair enough.
Doc?
Math Blaster Episode 1 Knee Deep in the Math is divided into 3 segments, which are basically 3 distinct minigames of sorts, and we'll go through these one by one. Upon starting the game and setting your options, we begin with the first segment called Trash Zapper. This is a shooter type thing where you guide the crosshairs with your D-pad and you shoot the missing number that corresponds to the problem listed before you. Shoot the correct number and you add fuel to this fuel gauge. Once the fuel gauge is full, the stage is cleared and you'll play a brief bonus round of shooting space rocks. Do this 3 times and you move on to the next segment. On occasion, an enemy spaceship will appear and shoot at you. Blows landed on your vessel will drain your energy/health meter, and once this meter is depleted, you lose a life, which doesn't mean much since you continue as if nothing's happened, but you lose all your lives and it's game over pretty much, obviously. Since the game doesn't let you fly the ship proper, your only means of protection is to raise your shields to defend against damage, which uses up shield energy that can be replenished by shooting the energy icons that will occasionally pop up on screen. There's not much to this game. It's a fairly simplistic shooting gallery that's pretty brain dead at times, though the targeting reticule isn't entirely spot on with guiding your shots. Still, this is fairly enjoyable fare and a good way to start things off in Math Blaster Episode 1 Encounter at Math Point. The second minigame, which has no subtitle, is a platformer type thing where you have to guide Math Blaster Dude past these platforming barriers all the way to the top of the shaft where the alien holding your buddy awaits. The gimmick here is that you have a number value that can be manipulated by collecting water droplets that will either add, subtract, multiply, or divide said number, depending on what's labeled on the droplet you collected. In order to cross a barrier without getting your ass fried, your number has to be between 2 specified values. Sometimes this is straightforward, the number will be specified as such. Other times you'll need to do some math to figure out the solution. All the while there are other hazards you have to avoid or eliminate with your blaster gimmick. Again, taking hits cause you to lose a hit point, and losing all your hit points cost you a life, though again this means nothing until you run out of lives because you'll just continue where you left off, as if you just took a hit. To fly around, you'll have to hold down the thrust button, and momentum is something you have to deal with because Math Blaster Guy can be a bit difficult to control, which is a bit understandable because you're in space and stuff and, you know, all that other stuff. So once you've reached the top, it's off to the final minigame to rescue your buddy Spot from the evil space alien dude. Here you'll be given a problem in the saucer thing, and you'll have to enter one of the 4 exhaust pipes marked with the correct solution to complete the equation. Space trash will float in your way, so you either have to get past it or blow some of it up in order to clear the way. Not only that, but if you fail to solve the problem before the solar eclipse hits, you'll also suffer a hit and have to restart. Do this for 3 more stages, along with 2 bonus stages of collecting gemstones for bonus points to foil the alien plot, save your alien pal, and get the extremely underwhelming single-screen ending. I guess they spent most of their budget on the opening intro that most of you will probably skip by pressing the start button on the title screen.
I'm sending you on a mission, Blasternaut. Good luck!
Just saying. So you have options. You can toggle between normal and practice game difficulties, which I have no clue what this actually entails because from what I've seen there's no real discernible difference. Apparently this affects the damage you received, but I haven't really noticed. Also, I haven't really paid attention, so it could be that. The only option that does seem to affect difficulty directly is the math difficulty option, of which there are 12 settings and affects the type of arithmetic problems you'll need to solve. So, settings 1 to 3 are addition, 4 to 6 is subtraction, 7 to 9 multiplication, and 10 to 12 division problems. Naturally, a higher number denotes a higher degree of difficulty in regards to the problems you're given to solve. And of course, you could toggle the number of lives from 1 to 5, as well as enable sound effects and or music, and view the game credits to see who is responsible for all of this math goodness and stuff. So I'm purposely going with the easiest settings here because, well, I don't like to think too much, especially late at night, which is when I'm usually putting these things together. But honestly, if you know your math really well, it'll probably take you about 20 to 30 minutes to blow through Math Blaster Episode 1 Math of the Dumpster. And the only way to really challenge yourself is to try to beat this on one life, which is an option you could set up. The games are functional, simplistic, perhaps a bit fun at times. But that's about all you could say about them, and once you're done here, there's very little reason, almost none, to come back for more. Math Blaster is not a game that's going to push any visual prowess on the Super Nintendo, but as far as typical 16-bit graphics fare is concerned, the game looks fairly decent. Colorful, vibrant garbage is well depicted, not much to it. The numbers are quite readable. Again, special mention to the opening cutscene, which is not only well done, but also fully voiced, if that's the proper terminology. That is, there's characters on screen and they're voiced for this cutscene. The performances themselves are nothing to write home about. They're a bit muted, not always very clear sounding, but you have to admire the effort, if not the final result. That's the highlight of the audio portion of Math Blaster, by the way, as the sound effects are stock quality sound effects that are decidedly stock, and the music is serviceable, but not much more than that. There wasn't anything really that stuck to mind musically speaking. It's just kinda sorta there. Overall, Math Blaster Episode 1, I've run out of funny subtitle names if you want to call it that, is actually a fairly edutaining little game that's fun for a little while but ultimately lacks substance for any semblance of replay value in the future. You do get 3 distinct mini-games that are simplistic and not always flawless but fairly functional otherwise, sometimes quite enjoyable. Most of all, you're bound to learn some semblance of math in one way or another. I'm sure there are better edutainment titles, and the fact that Math Blaster never got another console release would suggest that the computer would serve as a superior learning tool, but judged on its own feeble merits, Math Blaster Episode 1 for the Super Nintendo is perfectly adequate while it lasts, and that's all there really is to it.